I help people find stability, actually. That's really the key there. So,
and then when you pull my credit, I immediately have like 25 phone calls a day.
That's all?
Random mortgage, or 50, right? Random mortgage companies.
Like many banks have last minute denial.
And that's a nightmare. If you're trying to buy a home, like that's a nightmare.
The bank then it goes through their thing, and then they come back and say, actually, you're denied. Why? It's like you gave us a pre-approval.
You gave me a pre-approval, right?
Yeah, you didn't really get a pre-approval.
Yeah.
You got like a kind of a pre-qual letter. But it's actually the knowledge and it's the speed. Here in Florida, prices are not going down anymore. They're edging up.
Yeah. All right. Hey, welcome everybody to the Trust Business Podcast. Today I have a very special guest, Myles Binford with Binford Mortgage. Myles, thank you so much for coming on. I'm familiar with you. You've helped me do mortgages on several properties and for my family also, local to the Clearwater area. So thanks for being a guest. First and foremost, introduce yourself. Tell us about who you are and what you guys do at Binford Mortgage, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. So, Myles Binford, Binford Mortgage, obviously, and what we do is we do residential mortgage loans. So, I help people find stability, actually. That's really the key there. So, helping them get into properties, refinance, purchase. My key clients are really my realtors.
Yeah.
So, realtors love working with us just because of our speed and all of that. So, and that's what we do. Yeah, I have every mortgage loan product available for residential real estate. Yeah.
That's amazing, man. And this is a competitive industry, mortgage lending.
Oh,
I mean, I know, like when someone pulls your credit, like we're just doing one that I'm working with you on right now, and then when you pull my credit, I immediately have like 25 phone calls a day.
That's all?
Random mortgage, or 50, right? Random mortgage company. Hey, pull my and all this, right? So, so that just makes me think, wow, this is a very competitive industry that you're in. Yeah. So what do you do to? Obviously, probably a lot of things. What do you do to differentiate in that? Because you guys are very successful. You know, you're a relatively small firm, but you guys are very successful, I see, and have done well in it. So what do you do to differentiate yourself and compete amongst all of that?
That's a broad question.
Yeah.
It's a broad question. So it comes with a broad answer. Simply it comes down to one, speed. So it's speed to lead. So if somebody calls me for help, 7 days a week I'm available. So Sunday night, somebody needs a pre-approval, then, I'll take care of it. So that's a little bit different because if you think about going to a bank, what are the banking hours?
9 to 5.
9 to 5, Monday through Friday, so it's speed. And then the other thing is obviously having all the loan products. So I've got about 1,500 mortgage options.
Wow.
And as a mortgage broker, I have, multiple banks. So it's not just one bank. You go to like Chase or something like that, or whatever credit union, you're only going to have their products. Right?
Yeah.
So I have all the products, which allows, and the experience to fund them. So that's really the key there, is being able to come to me and then I shop and find you the best product. And then, with my expertise, fund the loan. So it's really that trust. And that trust comes from your realtor, because your realtor is going to like, I've done so many deals with them. They're always on time. They always get the deal done. There's no last minute denials. Like many banks have a last minute denial. Like,
and that's a nightmare. If you're trying to buy a home, like that's a nightmare.
It's true. There's about 5% of my business that comes to me from a bank, let's just call them Wavy Fed.
Yeah.
And which I use for my personal banking. They're a great bank.
Yeah.
But they have they have their own overlays on a loan, so their own criteria, and they will deny you last minute.
Right.
And the reason for that is because I don't know if anyone really knows this, but banks, their employees are trained to take a loan application, but they're not licensed to actually originate a loan. So they'll take your application and then they send it up to their originator.
Right.
And then the originator says, okay, well, I need this question or that question. They come back down, and then that person will call you and get more data. Things get lost in translation.
Right.
So they're very black and white. They don't know the
right. That person who's originating, ideally, like in a case like you, but ideally they know what will or won't get approved, or what will come up as a barrier. Like, oh, wait a minute, your income is this, your debt to income is this, or hey, wait a minute, you own this property here, and wait a minute, what's that with that, or oh, you lease that out, okay, we need proof of that. Like you'll have these answers on the front end, ideally. Right. That way you're not just sending something up, waiting, and then here's like 5 reasons why this won't work. Now we got to start again.
That's right.
So that's a whole thing. And
so it's seeing it from the beginning, right? It takes my training, and a broker is higher trained than almost everyone at the bank, right? So we're higher trained. We have more experience because we have to have an experience, and our licensing. So I have a complete licensing for mortgage origination that your bank employees don't have. So, while banks have their purpose, and it's good. You can you get your debit card, or you get like maybe an auto loan or something like that. They have their purpose, but when it comes to something as big as a home purchase, you need to have the expertise. And that's why realtors love working with me. Yeah, is because it's just my history and all of that. We can get into my history and but it's actually the knowledge and it's the speed. Yeah, right.
And it's like you're doing like an initial. Then it sounds like a consultation, like an inspection of that person's credit. Like me, when I go to look at a roof, I go to inspect the roof, and I want to look at every single factor of that, and I want to figure out what is the best solution for that homeowner to either repair it or replace it. Right, and that's my whole thing. Yeah. If I just went in there and just and hey, just do this. I didn't know that much about roofing, and I just recommended something blanket. Yeah. Then I'm not doing the best service to the client. And in your case, also, it's the same in that there's a heavy return on investment consequence to these different decisions. Sure. Like I can recommend one roofing product that'll return on investment like this, another one that'll return on investment like this. It's my responsibility to recommend this or at least explain that. That's right. Same thing with you because. Yeah. Like if you have a difference in a point percentage interest rate or a half a point, that scales so heavily over that 30-year mortgage terms. This is like heavy duty stuff for the person at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I write a pre-approval, so when you go to buy a house, you got to get a pre-approval first to even go shopping. Yeah. And then that pre-approval, you can get one online for without really showing any documentation. Those pre-approvals are not worth anything. Yeah. It's just like, oh yeah, you look good. Okay, go. Yeah. And then when you go to get the loan and you're already in contract, you already put your earnest money deposit down. The bank then it goes through their thing, and then they come back and say, actually, you're denied. Why? It's like you gave us a pre-approval.
You gave a pre-approval, right?
Yeah, you didn't really get a pre-approval. Yeah. You got like a kind of a pre-qual letter, and so that's why realtors, they require pre-approvals, but then they also want to know who's behind that. Right. And
so do you try to go a little slower on that, make sure you're sending it out when you're actually confident rather than the bank being
that's
so
the thing.
So much easier?
If I write a pre-approval, it's as good as funded. Yeah. So no matter what happens in the loan process, and as you know, it's like, oh, well, we need more documentation on this. We need more documentation on that. Whatever it is, and there's always changes. You have multiple tax returns, you got multiple businesses and all of that kind of stuff. But I've already seen through it all. And I go, okay, this will fund because it fits the criteria. And I already know all we have to do is back it up with documentation, right? So my pre-approvals are as good as funded.
As long as obviously the person on the other side gave you all the right information.
Right. Yeah. And that's why I tend to get, like in our particular area, I've gotten, I do about 60% of the loans. And that comes from brokerages. So the brokerages have said, okay, well, Myles can, go to Myles. As long as he says it's pre-approved, it's good because we will fund, right? We don't get that last minute denial. It just doesn't happen. So unless there's something wrong with the property. You'll get a property that's like,
dilapidated, they can't insure it.
Or a sinkhole problem or something that just comes up on inspection. I can't control that. But what I can control is the loan. And so I will guarantee that it's like going to fund.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Goodness.
And not only that, I have backup on backup on backup. I have a loan right now that's it's nearly a super jumbo loan. And this borrower...
What is a super jumbo loan? What does that mean?
It's over $3 million.
Wow.
And so it's a luxury property. It's a luxury buyer. This guy is a savvy, a business owner. He makes tons of money. Yeah. The issue with that is that because he obviously writes everything off and he's got multiple businesses and he's foreign, so he's you got foreign income and all of that kind of stuff. All of those moving parts there. He couldn't get a loan. And I have actually said, okay, good. I have 3 options here. Let's go with option 1. It's a better loan. It's like option 1 didn't, it doesn't work. Then option 2 and option 3. And, we're closing next week?
Wow.
So it's just like an impossible loan for a very qualified guy. But because he doesn't have the traditional finances, no bank would approve him.
Yeah. Where's that property at?
It's in Clearwater.
Clearwater. Cool.
Yeah. With water view.
Yeah. What would be okay if you're talking to like a homeowner or somebody who's looking to purchase a home, maybe it's their first time or maybe they're savvy. Like what's the number one thing to look for in picking and selecting a mortgage broker? Like what's the number one thing to look out for? And maybe a warning sign or something, I don't know, to be careful about when going through that process.
Referrals. You want to go for a referral.
Yeah.
You want to go with somebody else's trust because you have no trust. You're like, okay, well, I have a relationship with my bank.
Right.
No, you don't. Yeah. You don't have a relationship with your bank. They don't have a relationship with you other than you have a debit card with them.
Especially the big guys. I mean, one thing I will say, like I use a smaller bank. They're called Flagship Bank. You're probably familiar with them. There's only a few branches. Right. And I have a direct connection to the guy who's like, I know him. He's like one of the top, presidents or whatever.
Sure.
And like I work directly with him.
Right.
Sometimes you can find a bank like that smaller, and you actually might have a relationship. Like, you might me with some commercial properties and stuff like this. But if you're working, like Chase or Wells Fargo, these huge, massive, like, forget about it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a business banker too, and he knows my name. I walk in there in my flip flops, and I'm doing something. He's like, "Hey, Myles, hey, blah blah blah."
You're not
like,
walking in Crocs and socks, are you?
Yeah, no.
Okay, not yet. All right. Another 5 years in Florida, and you might be.
Yeah. It's the slow turn to being a Florida man, right?
Yes, it is.
So no, No, I have a business banker. He's a great guy, and he knows what I do. He's mortgage broker. He talks to me about rates. He's like, "What are the rates going to do?" And I'm like, "Dude, do you realize that you're talking to me?" He goes, "Yeah, but he sees my business. He knows what we're doing and all of that." And we go back and forth. And he's a really nice guy. Would I go to him for a mortgage loan?
Yeah.
No, it's the same process. It's the same structure and all of that. Would I go for a business loan? Yeah, I did. Unfortunately, it's the same process. So I had to deal with all kinds of, nonsense. I eliminate that. I eliminate a lot of the nonsense that I can. And some of it I can't. You have to prove your tax returns if you're going to do a conventional loan.
Yeah.
You have to do, there's certain things you got to do, which is legal regulation,
Yeah.
But that brings me to the other point. It's, when I got into the business, now I've been in real estate since 2001. That's when I did my first flip. And I was like, ooh, I like this. This is fun, right?
Yeah.
And then like the rest of the world, I ballooned up with all of these properties. And by 2008, I was like, wow, beach homes, holy cow. And I was like, I can't sell them. I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
So when I left real estate, I got back in because I was always going to be in real estate. I love real estate. I mean, I love, I could have been an architect. I mean, I love the structure of it. I love what it does,
Yeah.
And so when I got back into it, I was like, okay, I'm going to go into a transactional part of it. Not really being a realtor, although I can sell. That's just not really, like, I wanted to actually be the guy that really helps. So I was like, oh, it's going to be mortgage.
Yeah.
Right? So I said, okay, well, and this was, 10 years ago now. So, and I had done every type of loan up to that point to even buy multi-million-dollar properties. Because I did buy multi-million-dollar properties, and did I qualify? No, I didn't qualify. But it was one of those things like we could sign on the dotted line that's like, well, what do you make? Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The negative amortization loans, which was ground zero in Orange County. In Irvine is where that started, and I was buying in Orange County, and so I had every option to do things wrong, which I did. So like a lot of the industry at that time, and it was like, well, okay, well the banks say it's okay, right? Yeah. So, but when I got back into it, I said, okay, I want to go into mortgage, and how do I do that, right? So I said, okay, I need to be trained by the best, and I happened to run into this lady that ended up being a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And she's in the top 1% in the country as a mortgage lender.
Wow.
Right?
That's the person to get information from.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, I saw, she showed me her W-2, and it was north of 7 figures.
And this is a key in business. If you want to be good in business or out of business, find someone who does it at the top level in that industry and try to look at what they're doing and see if you can either replicate it or build on it or learn from them or whatever. Yeah. But that's very smart.
Yeah, I felt like, Dr. Strange, when he shows up and he's all crippled and there's the lady who's like the guru. Yeah. And I was like, please, teach me how to do this magic, right? Yeah, yeah. And so she's like, okay, Myles, I will teach you. Yeah. But you got to do exactly what I say. And the beauty of working with her is she trained me to learn a couple different things. One of them was how you do the mortgage business as a business, right? Which is different than everybody else does it, and it prevents this booms and depressions. Yeah, because you're in a service business, and you can go out and you can sell, and then you have to deliver, and then you sell, and then you deliver, right? So that's a business aspect. Yeah. But the other thing was, she goes, okay, this is how you become the best of the best. She goes, know your guidelines. She goes, spend at least an hour every day. And I said, no, in normal, right now, you are all guidelines. I want you to study nothing but guidelines until you get a loan that falls in your lap. So it's just study guidelines, right? Yeah. So I spent a year working with her and her training me and me making nothing to then, take that knowledge and like, okay, good. And, she's like, okay, you're released to the world. Right? and get out there. And I was like, okay, well, I know guidelines. So I went to all, every realtor I could call, and everybody just said, hey, I'm not going to call you for loans like everybody else, but what I'm going to do is I want you to send me every loan that your lender can't fund, and I will case crack it, right? So give me the ones that can't be done.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into the business. And that's how I grew.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's a very interesting thing. And I'm going to talk about your truck and what it says on the Flat Roof Experts, but I'll get into that. So it's funny because I got to be known as like the case cracker or the guy who could do it all, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, cool.
The guy who could do challenging ones.
Oh, yeah.
And that's smart because if you niche yourself into something in any business world that's like, I can do ones that other people can't. Right. Like us in roofing, we like taking on specialized projects, tough projects, repairs, maintenances. Like we did that odd little repair on your house, that's an unusual repair. So people shy away from those because, it's not just an easy re-roof. But if you can do things that other people won't, all of a sudden the market you're competing with has shrunk and has gotten smaller. But again, that requires, like you were saying, guidelines. Like in my industry, that's studying the technical knowledge of roofing and understanding it like the back of your hand. We bid against other roofing companies all the time where like I can just tell based off of things being fed to the homeowner. Like the guy at the other end of that doesn't technically understand roofing as high of a level as us. And anyway, so in anything, understanding that technical side of your business and being the best at it, that's
the total pro. So you take that pro knowledge, right? Absolute pro. And then you obviously give it to as a fair price, but with good customer service. And that is what helped me grow. Right? It's the knowledge on how to do it.
Yeah.
And as I started to grow and as realtors really realized, like, wow, you can do everything. I had some realtors who they would only send me what their lender couldn't do. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Why don't you send me the ones that your lenders could do also? I can do those,
Yeah, send me the W-2 employees. It's so easy, right?
Yeah.
It's like, send me that. It's like, oh, I didn't think about that. I'm like, oh my God. All right. Send me everything, right? I can fund everything, and you will see over time that you just don't get the denials that you get with other lenders or banks, right? The inexperience. It's guidelines, right? So that's a really key point. And like with you, it's why you did my roof, and that's why I'll always go to you for roofing is because I know that you have the professional expertise. To me, it's like I'll pay more for that.
Yeah.
In my industry, because I'm a broker, I'm selling wholesale mortgage.
Yeah.
So I actually save people money, right? And so sometimes they don't get that. They're like, oh, this guy, Myles, whatever. Well, I'm going to go to my bank. It's going to be cheaper. It's going to be a better rate or whatever. It's like, actually, there is a study done that brokers save, I think it's over $8,000 for each borrower versus going to a bank or going to a bigger lender. Like, you can go to Rocket Mortgage and get a mortgage. You're still going to be paying points. You're still going to be, it may not be the most competitive.
There's a lot that goes into that, whether it's like buying down a rate or paying points or these different costs. There's so much that goes into it. It's not just the percentage rate or just the this. There's a lot that builds into that cost.
Right.
Also, I mean, I don't know. This is something for me too. Even if you were a little bit more than somebody else, I do my usage just because I know that if I want to call Myles or Holland, your wife, I know, boom, they're right there. They're there to help me. They're positive. It's a weekend. They'll answer me. They're there to help me. They're positive. They know what they're talking about. They have my back.
Yeah.
I pay a little bit more just for that too. But
just to ensure you're not going to get a denial. Yeah, and that's the key right there. So it does come down to help. And I mentioned your logo, the Flat Roof Experts, because what's funny is that I wonder how many people are getting stuck on the fact that you only do flat roofs. But it is the hard technical thing, right? So that's why you put it down there.
That's why I put it. And for us on the Flat Roof Experts, here's the reason why we do that is because at the end of the day, like in our business, commercial is where we make more money. We do better there. Just because it's larger. Right. Again, it's something that not as many companies are reaching for. I mean, shingle roofs, every company is reaching for that. There's such a huge amount of people. The commercial is a little bit smaller. So that's why we do that. You're probably right. Maybe we do miss out on some residential. They go, Flat Roof Experts. Oh, maybe they don't like I have the shingles metal style on there also. But if that's the case, it's okay because I'd rather. What happens is I'll be there with like some condo owner or something, and we're talking about their flat roof, and I bring it up. I say, well, we're commercial specialists. We've been doing commercial roofing since 1983. Yeah, we put it on every single vehicle. Flat Roof Experts. You see it on my business card right there too. And they look at that and they look at that. And then that sets into their world. And I've had people literally say, oh, yeah, I called you. I saw you're the Flat Roof Experts, and I just needed that. We have this flat roof, this big commercial blah on my warehouse. And so it puts attention on that part of my business that I want to stand out on.
It's key, especially in Florida. Because in Florida, like, there's so much flat roof.
Yeah.
You know, it is key. And then it's like, well, I do everything else. Yeah. And it's funny, whenever, you know, I get somebody calling me for a mortgage, it's just calling for me for a mortgage. Usually they're not asking me questions like, okay, well, do you do this loan or that loan or anything like that? They're just like, they just need a mortgage. They'll be like, okay, I have 1,500 mortgage options, this or that. And they're like, yeah, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
Can you do my loan?
Your world is so technical that most of your consumers probably have very little experience with it and understanding of it, knowledge of it. I mean, it is so technical, so much that goes into it.
That's right. Yeah. And so it comes down to that tagline that was on the billboard I had, which was, you know, we work for you, not the bank.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, unique in our industry because most people are just working for the bank. You know, like, you know, and okay, so you're a technical, you're an expert on all things roofing, and you know, it's like you grew from there. Well, what's interesting about you know, my side of it is that, you know, in dealing with
one thing I wanted to bring up, I'll keep going. You brought up I'm an expert on roofing, and I would consider myself one, sure, just like you would consider yourself on something with mortgage. But you even told me earlier on in the conversation, like she recommended continue to study guidelines an hour a day. That's the same thing with me. I continue to, even at this stage, I want to learn more about roofing. I learned something like 4 days ago about roofing I just never known before. I mean, there's so much to learn. So it's just something that's so key is keeping your mind open and knowing that, hey, I maybe I'm really good, maybe I'm an expert, but the reason I'm an expert is because I have my mind open and I'm willing to continue to look and continue to learn and grow.
Right.
So,
and that is key. That's what keeps you in the forefront.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The industry's changing. Mortgage is changing. Roofing
constantly
is changing.
You know? Yeah, guidelines on mortgage are constantly changing.
Every month there might be that change.
A few months ago, was about 6 months ago, the 5% down for multifamily, you know, 1 to 4 units. As long as you're occupying the property, you can do it with a conventional loan for 5% down.
Yeah.
That changes the industry. People are like, oh, I'm going to buy 1 to 4 units. And, you know, there's a big push, like in California, you know, they have a big population, not enough properties. So they allow what's called an ADU, or, you know, it's like you can just put it on your property whether it's zoned or not. And so they're doing everything they can to bring in the illegals. That's a political subject.
Yeah, that was.
But, you know, to house everybody that's there, right? And so that there's a push for that. But also, you know, the federal government's looking at it like, what can we do to make things easier for, you know, people to then own a home or to make money? Because property prices keep going up. Yeah. And, you know, even with the recent dip in prices and with mortgage rates being so high, here in Florida, prices are not going down anymore. They're edging up. Yeah. You know, despite the rates have not yet dropped, which they're going to be. They're going to be dropping in the next, you know, within 6 months. Yeah. You know, I'm guessing that within the next few months they're going to start dropping. We just need the right metrics, you know, the right news to go out there about jobs and this and that. And it's like all of a sudden there's an election guaranteed to drop. Right? You can't go into an election with the middle class suffering like it is. Right. So, you know, with that, prices are so high at this point, and the cost of living here, you know, insurance is high, everything's high. So it's kind of like, you know, people are like, okay, they're kind of at the top of their limit, right? So they're doing things like, okay, 5% down, you can make money from your own property, right? So everything's changing. You know, it does change. Yeah. You know, but back to, you know,
you're doing 5% down on multifamily right now.
You can do that
in Florida.
Yeah.
Man, that scares me in a way too, though. You know, because what you can end up with over leverage, and then you have a problem. Like, who knows? Like, you just gotta be smart and cautious. But it's a good tool. It's an awesome tool. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's unique. I mean, you know, it's like it's primary residence, but you have 3 units paying you, so it just makes things a little bit easier. Right. Yeah.
Oh, so in order to do that, you have to have 1 as your primary residence?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you're buying a fourplex, 1 is your primary, and then 3.
That's
okay.
Right.
That's interesting.
So you're living there, but it's like, it's easier. Like my son is like newly out in the world. He's got an apartment right now. He's saving up for, you know, purchase. He wants to do the 1 to 4 units. It makes sense. Because then it just, you know, the 3 units could help pay for that mortgage.
And you can get that experience because now you're a small business owner. This is your little business, and you have your 3 units, and you're living in 1, and they're right there next to you. Yeah. I did this, except not quite as posh as he'll do it. Yeah. I did it by buying my house, and then I had the mother-in-law suite, which I rented out, and then I had 1 roommate in this bedroom and 1 roommate in that bedroom. Yeah. So I learned how to be, you know, roommate city, and I ended up paying no mortgage. I made money on it with all of the renting I had going on. I don't know if
That's what I did too.
I don't know if I recommend it or not, because having the roommates is definitely like, that was a whole gnarly thing. But for a stage of life, it was intelligent. I was able to save a little bit and whatever. But just getting out of the world for your son and being like the small business owner like that would be awesome.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's good. So, you know, it comes down to help. Yeah. It's helping people. So that's my basic purpose on, with mortgage is really helping people find stability.
Yeah.
And that's key for me is like, if I can't help somebody, they're not my client.
Yeah.
I won't actually, I'll turn people away if they're like, what's the best rate out there?
Yeah.
Well, for what? Mortgage rates are not one size fits all.
Yeah.
There's multiple criteria that goes, a condo has a higher rate than a single family residence.
Yeah.
A zip code will change what rate it is because there's higher risk to a bank.
Yeah.
Right. So zip code changes it. Debt to income. So how much income versus your debts and what that ratio is. It's more risky. So the bank will charge you more.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors into that. And, I'll have people who are like, buying a $1.5 million property and there's like well qualified. It's like, my CPA will get you everything. He just wants the best rate. It's like, I'm not your broker.
I might not be your broker, right?
Yeah, I have to help you in order for this to be a two-way street.
Yeah,
right.
If you don't need any help, like it's all
Yeah,
I feel it. You said something just a moment ago. You're like, hey, for me, it's all about help. I want to help people. This is a key thing you said to me because finding a purpose in what you're doing in life, whether that's you're an employee and you're working at someone's business or you're selling or you're owning your own business or whatever it is you're doing, but finding a purpose for why you're doing that's the basic thing, I think is so key because my purpose is not to, go install roofs. I love doing that and it's awesome, but I like doing it for similar reasons you, right? To help people, help my employees, help my clients, right? So breaking that down, whatever it is you're doing, down to a more basic and fundamental purpose of why you're doing something, I think is like so key. Because for me, that helps me wake up out of bed every morning. I'm going to go help people. I'm going to go help them with their roofs or help them with their mortgages or whatever, and then
enjoy it.
And enjoy it, and then you can enjoy it. But also, if you have that, now you're stable no matter what in life. Because like for me, let's say I wasn't doing roofing for some reason, I would find another industry where I could help people and fall back on that same basic purpose.
Yeah, when I realized that it was about help, my stats quadrupled.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I will never go hungry because if I find that my stats are really low or something's wrong or whatever, it's because I'm not helping enough people. I just need to go out and help more people. And as long as I'm helping, business comes my way. I just help.
Yeah.
Business, I'm like, oh my God, what do I there was a period about a little over a year ago when business was crazy and the processor was like, pulling her hair out, going, I need more help. Right. I'm like, good.
Send it to me.
Let's just shuck it over. But then we actually put a stop on how many loans I was originating.
Yeah.
Because it's about service.
Yeah.
Right? And we have to close on time. 44% of loan officers have left the business because of this downturn.
Yeah.
But it shows you how many.
I know a lot of them who left, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they left. Either they couldn't get enough business or they were focusing on refinance.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the harder thing. I focus on purchase. Refinance, it's a cherry on top. Come on over, I'll refi you.
Yeah.
And even this next year, when the rates do drop by 1.5 to 2 points, we're going to be inundated with purchases because there's going to be a ton of them. People are selling. They're going to sell, they're going to buy, and refi. Right, so we're going to have so much business all of a sudden, and we're prepared for that. Like I'm prepared to scale as necessary to be able to, but maintain our customer service. And with that becomes to being able to just maintain that level of service and focus on that. But the guys who have left the business, they're going to come back in.
Yeah.
So you got to watch out for that guy. That's why you got to get the referral. Because they don't know the guidelines. They're like, come on, I'll take your application. Looks good. Okay, I'll send it in.
That's interesting, because if the economy does, quote unquote, the right thing and the rates come down, then all of a sudden now there's a lot more purchases buying happening, and then now you attract a lot more people to the mortgage industry. So I guess that's an important thing in your industry is looking for, who has the experience, who's been around, who didn't drop out when there was that slowdown. It's the same thing in my roofing industry. If we get a hurricane here in Tampa Bay tomorrow, I'd recommend everybody can find a local roofer who's based in Tampa, or at least based in Florida, right? Because they're here, they operate, they're in business in Florida. They know how roofing goes in Florida. When people run into problems, it's a storm chaser from Tennessee and he's out here throwing roofs down and blah, 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 and this and that. Oh, and then you have a problem in 2 years. Well, where's that guy, right? Where's the accountability? Where is he? Same thing in your industry. If somebody's just kind of in it really quick, where's the accountability? Does he really care if he gets you the best rate? Hey, wait a minute, you got me a rate for 2 points higher than my friend because my friend used Myles or whoever. And it's like, oh, no, well, I'm already out of that business now, right? So, but finding people who have stuck to something for a long time or at least plan to, I think is important.
So just for the viewers, on mortgage, when shopping for a lender or if you're not coming to me directly, then you're just shopping lenders, then look for, or whoever you talk to, ask, what did you last do? Okay, and how long ago was that? Because you need to be in this business for at least 5 years to really understand it.
Yeah.
And 5 years is even short.
Yeah.
Because it's a constantly changing, constantly evolving thing.
Right.
So there's that. When did you last do? Oh, I sold DirecTV. It's like, okay, well, that was 2 years ago.
Wow, DirecTV.
Well, a lot of them bail and they go into another sales business because it's just sales. To them it's sales. To me, it's
service. I like that differentiation though. I do the same thing in my business. It's not sales, it's service. And if you serve well enough, that is sales. Like if my sales reps go and do an inspection and really service the person's needs and what information they need, you can serve and sell at the same time. But anyway, oh my goodness, we can talk forever and ever and ever. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. If anybody wants to reach out to you, just Binford Mortgage, right?
Binford Mortgage, yeah. We can put the link into wherever.
We'll put a link. We'll put a freaking thing right here across the screen. It'll be awesome and badass. Thanks for coming on, Myles. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the help on my properties and everything like that.
Good.